Hi, I'm Kawasaki and this is a speed paint of a recent digital portrait painting, coupled with my thoughts. I have a big oil painting background but recently started learning digital painting. I think the reverse is more common because AI makes digital art feel redundant. So digital artists want to switch to traditional and traditional artists feel more discouraged to try digital. So here's my perspective as someone who's newish to digital painting. So should we keep on digital painting? I think so. Like I mentioned, one of the arguments I've heard is that digital art has been made redundant. And I'll start by sharing what I feel about redundancy. Firstly, I don't think redundancy makes something not meaningful. Recently, a lady's video got really popular on YouTube. She shared how she was laid off from a 15-year career as a translator because of AI. But just because she now can't form a career out of her language skills anymore, it doesn't mean those skills aren't meaningful. She's been made redundant, but strictly in an economic sense of the word. Her life spent learning different languages probably is and still will be a rewarding, enriching and edifying journey, which is another way of measuring why something is meaningful, rather than whether it helps us economically. A metaphor I can think of is how AI could probably offer virtually perfect advice to a struggling friend, but that friend would prefer your company instead, your imperfect and similarly confused company. Because as humans, we want to journey through life in togetherness, not perfectness. So I think learning to paint in the same way as I think of that lady who's able to speak so many languages. These pursuits enriches and people who go to art, like a friend who goes to another friend for advice and solace. These people want art made by fellow humans. So even if AI has supposedly made painting redundant, and has it really, because an economic product isn't just measured by its technical outcomes. Besides that, even if AI has truly made painting a redundant economic endeavor, painting has not lost any meaning in the personal or philosophical realm of things. If it was meaningful to you before AI, it still is, unless your only reason to learn painting was to get a creative career out of it. You should continue to paint, just like how that lady will probably continue to learn languages and lead an enriching life because she's doing so. And this brings me to my next point. Personal meaning aside, we should continue to paint for our loved ones and our community too. This point builds on the point from before. If paintings made by you are still meaningful, then the world needs it. And I think that's one of the ways to comprehend meaning, that it's a need. So yes, we should keep on painting for the people we care about. How I conceptualize why our communities not just like, but need good art starts with the belief that our world, our children's worlds, our loved ones' worlds are intricately shaped by the art around us. Children will go to art field trips and be molded because of them. Even the most uninterested finance guy will inevitably be touched by the art world somehow. And the scary thing is that the art world today is filled with artists that don't think of art in the same way that I've been discussing, as a path that enriches us and gives us solace. Some of them create greatly intriguing work, and some of them don't. And most of the artists in the world don't really care about painting. Some of them are fraudulent artists, in my opinion. For example, I'm acquainted with a local artist here that passed off a 3D model for fine art, selling that piece for thousands of dollars. They didn't model the 3D model themselves. They bought the model for $20 off Sketchfab. The art world outside our bubble of beautiful Instagram paintings and skilled concept artists is increasingly becoming artistically fraudulent, even more so now, as these types of artists turn to AI to execute their work more quickly. My point is that there's a lot of soulless art out there. I think soulless art creates a worse world for all of us, especially children over here, particularly in Singapore. I felt it. I grew up not ever seeing a good painting and only saw soulless contemporary art. When I went on art field trips, I had to write worksheets on why the art put in front of me on the behest of some educational policy was good, even if I felt nothing for it. I cared less and less about art each time that happened. So, I really believe we should continue painting. We have to put sincere art out there for our loved ones. I feel it's almost an obligation. For my last point, we should continue to paint for ourselves, simply because it enriches us. And in my first point, I touched on this, but I steered the conversation more towards how redundancy didn't remove meaning from the act of painting. I didn't really share how painting was meaningful to me or to us. I think of the meaning of painting in two general ways. Firstly, if you love it and have been blessed to give it a chance as a path of study or a career, just go for it. Breaking down why we love it is a fruitless exercise. Everyone cherishes things arbitrarily, and arbitrariness is essential to the uniquely human experience of being a self-aware individual, even if you're not a creative one, and especially if you're a creative one. Second, to depict and study one of the senses is a great reverence for the life you've been given. The entirety of our consciousness and existence, as perceived by us, relies on the continuity of memory and the five senses. And so seeing, one of the five senses, seeing is so fundamental to how we exist as individuals. So I've always felt that learning how we see through the act of painting helps us connect to what being human really is. And it's awesome how we can do it in so many ways through painting, through fine art, through fan art, through character art, through concept art. Anyway, this last little spiel is just how I've sometimes thought about painting. And it's just a personal way that I connect painting to existence itself. And to connect with how you exist, I think that's enriching, and that's why I would continue to paint. With all that said, I hope we can continue to find joy in painting, in whatever avenues and endeavors, and I hope you're convinced that we should continue digital painting. If you enjoyed this Speedpaint and opinion video, please consider subscribing to me on YouTube and following me on Instagram. As of now, I also have one tutorial on Gumroad. Hopefully will come more. Thank you for your time, and I hope to do more of these types of speed paint and opinion videos. I think I'll be able to find my voice this way.